Welcome students, this is module number 1, the first slideshow of this module. There are several slideshows in this module. If you need to contact me, you can do so at this email address, and I'm going to put the pointer here to remind everyone to turn on your speakers or put on your headphones so you can hear what's going on in this slide. This slide is an orientation to the course, kind of an overview of the course. I want to introduce myself first. Here's a picture of my wife and my mother-in-law. And next, this is me looking over the Russian River during a vacation that we were having on the Russian River in California. Here's a little background on myself. If you're interested, I also teach at John Jay College, and I've taught this Writing 303 course for many years, in both as a hybrid in class and now online. If anyone interested in lawn bowling, please let me know. I can give you a lesson on that too out in Central Park. What are some of the skills we're going to be learning this semester? Well, one of the most important skills, well, all of these are important skills, but the reading skills are the ones we're going to be learning initially. We're going to be learning how to become active readers. We'll be learning how to write a research paper, how to format and write a research paper. The research paper will be written in your field, and learning certain research skills like how do you write a body paragraph and how do you find relevant secondary sources. Let's take a little closer look at these three skills. So what about active reading? In order to write a research paper, you're going to have to read secondary sources and read them at a high level so that you can take what you've read and use them to answer a research question. So the first part is being able to read actively and closely or specifically. And we're going to recommend that you read by annotating, so that you read with a pencil or a pen in your hand and take notes as you're reading. You need to read for comprehension. If you don't understand what you're reading, you're not going to be able to use it in your writing. That seems to be pretty clear. So you'll be annotating in order to understand what you're reading. You'll also need to analyze what you're reading. In other words, see how the parts of the source fit together, what the structure of the source is. And you need to evaluate that source based on whether or not it is relevant to the work that you're doing on the research paper that you're working on this semester. You'll also be learning research paper writing skills. Some of those skills include paraphrasing, summarizing, and synthesizing. Paraphrasing is when you take a source that you're reading, let's say it's a paragraph, and then you put it into your own words, and your paraphrase is about the same length as the original. Summarizing is taking something longer, like a paragraph, and then putting it into one sentence. So that's summarizing using fewer words. And then synthesizing is taking two sources, putting them together into one unified body paragraph. In all cases, we're going to be learning that you need to cite your sources, whether or not you're paraphrasing, summarizing, synthesizing, or quoting. What about researching for relevant sources? How do you find those sources and how do you reference them? Well, we're going to be going through a process of organizing our research paper. And the first thing is we need to find a research topic in your field of study, and we'll start working on that right away. You then need to develop from that topic a research question that you'll be investigating. You're going to then look for sources in the library and on the internet that will help you answer your research question. You need to evaluate those sources as to whether or not they are relevant to what you are working on, whether it's relevant to your paper. You need to learn how to cite a source within your body paragraph using the APA academic form, and then how to create a bibliography for the sources that you're using. Just a little example of what a in-text citation looks like. Here's a summary from an article by Krugman that was published in 1994. This is called a parenthetical citation, so you can cite your sources this way, or you can cite it this way by putting the author's name at the beginning and then the date. Notice it's just the last name of the author followed by the date. So if the article is written by one person, this is how it would be done. And what would the bibliography look like? Well, this is the bibliography for the source that's cited up here. Notice it says reference and not works cited or bibliography. And then this is what the bibliography looks like. It's a little different now. This is a old format, but this is basically what it looks like. And we'll we'll keep working on that and learn how to do a reference for a variety of different sources. So what is the work that's going to lead up to your research paper? Well, as I said before, you're going to be choosing a topic, and then you're going to be sharing the various sources that you're using in the form of an annotated bibliography. You'll then develop a research proposal, which will explain why this topic needs to be written about right now and basically how you're going to write about it. You'll develop an outline, which will help you organize your research paper. The paper will be organized written in the form of body paragraphs. These body paragraphs need to be synthesized, cited, coherent, unified, and developed. And we'll talk about each one of these qualities of a body paragraph as we move through the course. You'll also learn how to introduce and conclude your research paper, and finally you're going to be writing an abstract for your paper, but that's done way at the end of the process. The course will be organized into basically 3 different parts. We're going to begin the course by learning how to write a research paper, and we're going to write the objective synthesis paper, which is a 2.5 to 3 page paper based on 3 articles or 3 secondary sources that we will be reading. While you are going through the first 5 modules of the course and getting ready to write that objective synthesis paper, you'll be learning how to read actively, how to annotate as you read, how to paraphrase, how to summarize, how to quote in academic format, and then of course how to synthesize and attribute how to attribute your sources and synthesize, in other words, putting 2 sources together in one body paragraph. This is all very important, and we'll be learning that and then writing the objective synthesis paper. Most of this semester will be used in learning how to write your research paper and getting ready to write your particular research paper, which will be due at the end of the semester. And then the last quarter of the semester will be working on finishing the final draft of the paper. You'll be meeting with me individually online, and we'll be looking at your drafts and helping you complete the final draft of the paper. The grading of the course will be as follows. You will write the research paper will be worth 40, maybe 45%, depending on the semester that you are taking the course. The modules, there'll be 12 modules, and those will be worth 40% of your final grade. The objective synthesis paper is worth 10%. The drafts of the paper are worth 10%, and there will be extra credit given, and that changes depending on the semester. So now this is the end of the Slideshow 1A. Now you can move on to Slideshow 1B.